Casey Gray here from The Conscious Builder, and on today's video we are talking about why you need to control humidity in your home. First thing we need to understand is what are the things that affect the humidity within our home, and there are a lot of different things that could affect it, so it couldn't be multiple things affecting it at once. So things like how many people live in the house, how many times you shower, how long is the shower, how much steam, like how hot is that shower, right? How small is the house or how large is the house? For example, a lot of people having a shower in a small house in a 1,000 square foot home and you have 5 or 6 people taking a shower, that's going to be very different than a 7,000 square foot home with 3 people living in it, for example. So that plays into effect. How many pets do you have? How many people are living in the house? How much do you cook? Do you have the windows open, closed? What's the ventilation like? Do you have a fish tank, right? Do you take baths a lot versus shower? Like there's so many different things that can affect the humidity, but that is why we need to understand how we can control it and we can maintain humidity levels, because it's important for the materials within your home, especially the wood products, but it's also important for your health and your family's health. So on the materials side, for example, the wood, like I already mentioned, wood will expand and contract, right? That's why engineered hardwoods are becoming more and more popular, because they will not expand and contract as much. But if you have a solid wood floor or a solid wood countertop or solid wood doors, whatever it may be, all of that will expand and contract throughout the seasons with regards to humidity outside, if it's wood studs in your wall, for example, or the humidity within your home. So if you're not controlling that, you could actually be voiding warranties. So one thing that could happen, you build a new home, actually it could even be an old home. If you don't have air conditioning and you live in a climate like we do here in Ottawa, and you have dry winters and hot, humid summers, and you don't run the air conditioning or you don't have air conditioning, so you leave the windows open, so that humidity level is increasing and decreasing throughout the year, what will happen is that all of those wood, those natural products within your home will expand through those humid months, and then it'll shrink and contract during the dry months. So what might happen is that you get nail pops, for example, in your drywall, or your hardwood will shrink and you'll have all these gaps, and then it'll expand. If it was too dry when it was installed and the humidity gets to it, maybe it starts to buckle, for example, if it was a new hardwood floor. That's why hardwood needs to acclimatize to the temperature of the home, to the humidity levels of the home, to make sure your warranty is good. These are all things that will obviously affect the look of your home and the feel to some extent, right? Because how it looks, it's going to affect the feel. Not necessarily your health, but these are things that will get calls back about, right? So why is there a big gap in my floor? Well, we would need to prove that the humidity levels were maintained in order to get that warranty from the hardwood company, if not. So where we run into issues a lot of times, and I'll give an example, is when you're building a new home or you're doing a renovation, like a major home renovation. The supplier of the furnace, the air conditioner, the air source heat pump, whatever it is that you're installing, doesn't want that system ran until construction is completely done. However, when you're doing a complete renovation and we're putting hardwood in, which it typically comes into place, the hardwood supplier doesn't want to install the hardwood unless the humidity level is at the humidity level that the house is going to be maintained at, which means we either need to be running heat or we need to be running the air conditioner, depending on the time of year that we're at. So do you want to risk voiding the warranty on your hardwood, or do you want to risk voiding the warranty on your mechanical system? That's up to you to decide, but those are things that we typically need to deal with. Obviously, if we keep the dust out of the system, we should be fine, but we're going to make sure that we have the hardwood climatized properly, because we don't want to get into replacing all of the hardwood or creaks in the floor, whatever it may be. Like I said, engineered hardwood will really help with that. The other thing that can happen too, but usually this happens more when you have double glazed windows or windows that don't perform as good, is that if your humidity level gets too high, you'll end up with condensation on your windows in the winter months, because cold surface meeting the warm air, that warm air condensates on that cold surface if there's not enough ventilation. However, if you have triple glazed windows, if you have windows that actually perform better and they're not deep into a window buck, for example, maybe in a basement or something like that. A lot of homes that we do have deeper window bucks, so that could potentially still be an issue. But if your window performs really well, it doesn't matter what your humidity level is at. Because window manufacturers will often say, well, if you hit 30% humidity, you're going to have condensation. But we need more than 30% for our hardwood and for our health. Right? So we want to make sure, this is another reason why we tell people to put good windows into their homes, because we don't want to deal with these condensation issues. Is it a big deal if there's condensation on your window? Depends. If you leave it there and it's a wood window and that wood constantly gets wet, there's going to be mold issues, so that's going to affect your health. If it's PVC windows, the same thing could happen, but it's not necessarily going to rot away the PVC or the fiberglass, for example. But you could still end up with surface mold on that issue. A good relative humidity percentage to aim for is between like 40 and 55. It's comfortable, it's healthy. It also comes down to ventilation as well. So how to control it? Obviously, air conditioner. If it's a hot, humid summer, air conditioner is going to help get rid of that humidity from inside the house and drop down that RH percentage. If it's in the winter, you might have to add a humidifier. And I say might because, like I said, if you were 6 people living in a 1,000 square foot house, which doesn't happen too often these days, however, if that is the case, you're going to likely have a lot of humidity already just naturally from people showering, from people breathing, living in the house, cooking, and so forth. But if you're in a bigger house with less people, then there's a good chance that you'll have to add a humidifier to your system, whatever your system is, so that you can get that humidity throughout the home. The other thing that you'll want to do is have that fresh air system. Where we are, I always recommend the ERV over the HRV because an ERV has a different core than the HRV. The ERV, which stands for enthalpy recovery ventilator, has a core that can actually transfer humidity. So if there's humidity in the air on either side, it can actually go through the core and get into the air on the other side of that. So if you have really humid air inside and really dry outside, some of that humidity that is leaving the house that you might want to keep will be transferred into the air, that fresh air that's coming into the house. So that's really important. So if you keep air moving all the time and you control the temperature within the home, then you should be good. Yes, it's nice to have windows open. Yes, it's nice to reduce our footprint, but understand if it's 100% humidity outside and you have all of your windows open, that all of that humidity is coming into your house as well, and is going to have an effect on something. Now, some of these things might not be possible if you're renovating a home, an older home. I'm a big fan, for example, of eliminating bathroom fans and running that system through the ERV, and you have a booster switch. So instead of a switch for your bathroom fan, you have a booster switch, is really just a timer, and what that does is it ramps up the ERV and it really ventilates the entire house. So all of the wet rooms would have exhaust, so it'd be sucking air out of the house, and all the fresh air, or all of the other rooms would have fresh air going into them. But like I said, if you're renovating, you're not going to necessarily have the ability to do this. So you can do an ERV and have that run through the ductwork that you already have within your home, and then you just have to run the fan on that furnace as well, or air source heat pump, whatever it may be. But it's not going to be as effective, and you might still need bathroom fans, because if you have a small bathroom and a big shower, you're going to want to get rid of the humidity in that house. Yes, it is a hole in the house, but it is better than nothing to drop the humidity levels if you have to drop the humidity levels. So that's one option. You can obviously put in a dehumidifier, that's just a standalone unit that sits somewhere, but they're noisy and you have to empty them, or you need to run a hose somewhere. Sure, they work in basements if that's where you need to run it, but ideally, it's not the most ideal thing, but you might have to do that in some cases, especially in older houses with damp basements or crawl spaces. It's never a one size fits all. There's an optimal decision, in my opinion, where you can, but that's not necessarily possible in every situation. So work closely with your contractor, with your energy advisor, and with your HVAC company to make sure you come up with the solution that works best for you and your family. Glad you watched this video until the very end. If you enjoyed this video and you're looking for other information on building science topics or improving the performance of your home, be sure to check out this playlist with other questions I've answered and topics I've discussed. And remember to live consciously.